Welcome back, everyone. Today, I'm going to talk about cardiac rehab and give you just a quick review of what I thought and what went on in cardiac rehab, and then maybe also why I went to cardiac rehab. But if you've been watching my channel, you should already know why. So I'll be quick on that topic. So let's get this one going. Guess what? I graduated from cardiac rehab. Booyah! I got a certificate saying that I graduated. It's in the mail, supposedly. I don't know why I need a slip saying that I graduated or not, but that's just what they do at that particular clinic. So let me introduce myself if you haven't been watching my channel. My name is Timothy Dowd. I am 35 years old, and I'm currently living in Massachusetts. I underwent open heart surgery back in March for an underlying heart condition called hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy. And now I'm considered HCM. So it's hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. No obstruction. They removed a big mass. I have a giant scar. I'll be sure to put a link right here if you want to learn more about my heart condition. So COVID kind of broke out at the wrong time. I had just gotten out of the hospital, and I'm happy I got out of the hospital when I did, because a week later they said that someone got sick. So I did my 3 months at home, but I wasn't able to work out. I wasn't able to go to rehab or anything. Most people will go to rehab. Most people will go back about 3 months after their surgery. Well, I didn't have that option. The clinic was closed because I didn't have that option because the clinic was closed because of COVID. Well. The clinic opened, and guess who got to go to rehab for 32 whole weeks? This guy did. Boom. Aren't you jealous? So let's talk about it a little bit. So when I arrived for orientation, they gave me a quick tour of the facility. Then they told me their process. And then they taught me how to use the device that they're going to put on my chest, which is an EKG. They did a 4-lead, 2 on the bottom, right below the ribs, and 2 up on top. 1 on the left and 1 right shoulder. A little alcohol swab, a little sandpaper, and boom, you're all set. There's 2 reds, and there's a red-black. Oh no, red, green, and then a white, black. So they had a picture telling me exactly what to do, and I just came in every day. I whipped those things on, and I was good to go. Also, during the quick orientation, they had me jump on a treadmill, and they kind of wanted to see what I could and couldn't do. Before all of this, I had to go get a cardiac stress test done. It's where you get on a treadmill, you walk at an incline. Meanwhile, they're constantly taking your heart rate and your pulse, and they hooked you up to an EKG. So they know how you feel constantly. And then you get to a certain point where you can't go anymore, so you have to stop. So you're resting. At the end, they know what your maximum heart rate can go up to before you're starting to have issues and symptoms, which kind of made you stop. And then they knew my baseline. My baseline was 140. Anytime during cardiac rehab when I got up to 140, they made me stop instantly. It's kind of like, I don't want to, but we'll talk more about that later. So on day 1 of my class, I had 1 RN, 1 nurse, and then I had an intern. There's 3 women in the room, and there was only 2 of us working out. At the end of my classes, there was a room of 5 people, but that was the max that they would allow. The RN in the class kept a real close eye on me. My condition was very different than everybody else's in the class. Most of the people in the class had heart attacks, or strokes, or, other heart-related issues. None of them had my condition. It's kind of a rare condition that you don't really see a lot. So my heart rate on the screen looked like mountains. Everybody else in the class was beep, beep, beep. I mean, the worst part was I was the youngest one in the class, 35. Everybody was like in their 60s. I had a guy that was 75 in my class, and they had perfect heart rates. But mine was different, and that's because I had a piece removed from my heart, from what I've been told. So let's talk about the routine. I went to cardiac rehab Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and the earliest class that was available was 7 a.m. It's about an hour and 15 minutes to an hour and a half, depending on the day. My end, it was more like an hour and 15 minutes because I usually showed up about 10 minutes late because I am not a morning guy. So the routine I followed when I got to cardiac rehab, they had me put the 4-lead EKG on. Then I'd have to prick my finger to get my blood sugar because of my type 2 diabetes. They would take my blood pressure. Then I got to sit around for the rest of the class to be ready. Once everybody was all set, we'd walk across the hall. I immediately went on a treadmill. Started a really slow pace, and then you slowly increase it. And for a while, I was doing a lot of intervals. So I'd do like 3, and then they'd have me go 3-2, then they'd have me come back down to 3 for 2 minutes. And I was going back and forth pretty constantly, but it helped me in the long run. After about 20 minutes of that, I had a cool down of about 2 minutes. I'd get off the treadmill, I'd walk over to the water bubbler, and I'd chug like 2 glasses of water. These little Dixie cup glasses, right? Came back in the room, and I jumped on a bike. This bicycle had an arm motion to it. I don't really know the name of it, but you literally would cycle with your hands for 10 minutes. 5 minutes forward, 5 minutes backwards, at a pretty high intensity. The faster I went, the better it felt. But the problem is you had to keep up with it. The minute you started slowing down, it got really painful in the back of my arms. But, I mean, it's a kind of a great workout if you think about it. After I was spinning my arms, I then had to push my seat back, and then I got to use the actual bicycle, and I started just going to town for 10 whole minutes. Once that was done, I had no issues, and the nurses saw nothing. I went back down the hallway and got 2 more glasses of water. Once I got that water, I was done with cardio. We went back into the holding room, and from there, we got dumbbells, and we got to lift weights. We did a series of random exercises, and they wouldn't let me lift anything more than 10 pounds, which sucked, because they teased me that they have a whole nother section that was really heavy weights. I'm not going to go there, but I wanted to lift heavy, because that's what I'm used to, and I'm just lifting these 10-pound weights like la-di-da. And whenever the teacher would go too fast, someone in the class would be like, "Can you slow down?" And I'm like, "Let's pump it." So I'd always do like 5 more than everybody else because I just wanted to keep going. Once all that was done, we stretched for about 10 minutes. Once that was all set, we sat there and we listened to like whale music, and we had to meditate. They did this because they wanted our heart rates to drop. They pricked my finger, took my blood, and they took my blood pressure. After that, I was done. They would take off the EKG, and I got to leave. Whenever I was on the bicycle or the treadmill, and I started sweating or huffing and puffing a little bit, sometimes they'd ask me to slow down a little bit, but most of the time they'd come over and take my blood pressure. They wanted to know what it was, to make sure I wasn't going too high or too low. So that was pretty regular. It's different when you're trying to walk and someone's trying to take your blood pressure, because I'm holding on to dear life sometimes, and it's like, I don't know, I'm gonna fall off the treadmill. What's up with this? But they did it. They're used to it. After all my classes, honestly, I felt super energetic. I was like ready and raring to go. The first hour and a half, 2 hours of work, I was just like, go, 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 go. I'm ready to go. So there was one day where I went into cardiac rehab, and I had stopped taking amiodarone. So while I was at cardiac rehab, I had stopped taking my amiodarone for about 2 weeks. And I started having some really bad arrhythmias. I kept on going to NSVT and having runs of 5 to 6s of NSVT, which can cause heart failure. Well, guess what? The RN took me off the treadmill and made me sit down. It didn't stop. It kept on going. She called me a wheelchair, went down to the emergency room. They decided to put me over to Tufts, and I was in the hospital for 9 whole days dealing with this condition. If I was at home, I'd probably still be at home. And that's what it is. So, on my last day of class, I wanted to go really, really hard. Like, really, really hard. Oh, Ronnie wants to go really, really hard too, huh? You want to go really, really hard? So on my last class, I wanted to go really, really hard. So I pushed myself on the treadmill and the bicycle. I got up to 4:0, and I started doing a light jog, and the nurse comes over and goes, "Tim, please slow down. You don't need to have any issues on your last day of class." And I got really frustrated because I'm like, it's my last day of class, I haven't even started running yet. Why not? I want to run. I want to be able to keep up with my friends and family, and I want to be able to chase this little guy when I need to, right? And they just told me if I were to practice every day at home for about a half hour a day, going for walks, that I'd be able to get there. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start going for little walks. and hopefully work it out to going for a light jog. But wearing my Fitbit and knowing that I need to keep my heart rate under 140. Abba? Abba. Another thing I was really kind of frustrated with, at the end I asked them, what are my limits? Can I go hike a mountain tomorrow? Can I go ride my bike for an hour? Can I go out for a run? Can I jump on the river and just start canoeing? They told me no. They told me to keep it light. And don't be a hero and try to go above and beyond. Take my time. Well, there's my little review. I really recommend anybody who's had a cardiac event to go to Cardiac Rehab. I'm feeling great. I'm not a couch potato anymore. I feel more energetic than ever. So, get off your butt, call up your insurance and ask, can I go to Cardiac Rehab? I really recommend the clinic I went to. If you want to know more about it, please reach out and I'll give you the information. Thank you for checking out my video. If you haven't already, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel. If you have any comments, leave them below. Have a nice day, get off your butt and do something. Bye guys.